My day really tomorrow revolves around one horse. That one horse is Shishkin.
In the Supreme Novices, obviously, tough competitive race. I side with Shishkin.
And then Chantry House. Elixir Dana is down at the second last, brought down Captain Guinness, and it's Asterion for launch leading to Abacadabras. Look in the maroon and white. All Out and Chantry House and Shishkin, the Henderson trio giving chase to those. Edwardstone's moved into sixth. This is the last flight. Abacadabras and Davy Russell still sitting pretty. Shishkin has moved to challenge, is in second place. Chantry House is in third as they come to the last. Abacadabras by only a neck. Shishkin in second position, putting in a big challenge. These are clear from Chantry House. Abacadabras in the pressure the closing stages. Shishkin being lifted over the far side by Nicola Boyville. It's very tight between them. Chantry House will be in third, then Asterion for launch, All Out, Edwardstone, and behind those was Heaven Allpress.
Oh, it had everything. The 2020 Supreme Novices, the best of the British, the best of the Irish, the pair clear. Shishkin.
With Epatante once again, you know, last year was a disappointment, but I'm gonna give her another chance.
From the rear in a pink jacket, they turn their heads for home, a quarter mile to go. Want to jump in the champion hurdle. It's Darva Star in the centre who's come through the lead, but Epatante covers the move. Here's Sharjah down the near side, joining in the final flight. Epatante jumps to the front, goes on by a length from Darva Star. Sharjah now launching his challenge on the near side, halfway up the running. Epatante is in front, and she's not for catching. Driven out by Barry Geraghty. It's a birthday winner for JP McManus as Epatante takes the champion hurdle, and it's a record-breaking festival success for Nicky Henderson. Sharjah was back in second, followed home in third by Darva Star, and in behind these the likes of Silver Streak, Petit Mouchoir and Sealos Emery, who were all fighting out the placings.
As mentioned, Honeysuckle is a pretty confident selection over Benny Deju. You know, many might disagree with that, but I'm pretty confident this mare's very, very good, and she'll take all the beating.
Stormy Island then, heading down towards the second last. Nobody's yet to take her on. Elfile has moved through into second place, Honeysuckle in third, Benny Dejour behind those, then Lady Buttons and Roxana at the second last. Stormy Island, she still holds the lead. Now on the left, Benny Dejour, the pink jacket, produced with a challenge from Elfile. Honeysuckle just in behind those. Roxana is still running on as well. They move into the home straight, and Honeysuckle now nips through with Rachel Blackmore against the inside running rail. Benny Dejour on the left. These two good mares, it's going to be between them as they race down to the last. Honeysuckle has the advantage though. She leads, she's 2 lengths ahead. Benny Dejour in second. Honeysuckle a massive leap from the last, but a great leap from Benny Dejour as well. Honeysuckle is in front, the far side. Nearest to us is Benny Dejour, who is inching closer, running towards the line. Honeysuckle is in front, she's trying to fend off the challenge, and she's done it. Honeysuckle remains unbeaten. Benny Dejour in second, Elfile in third, then Roxana, Stormy Island and Cap Soleil.
Oh, they delivered, didn't they? They really did. Honeysuckle has beaten Benny Dejour.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Reprieve Media CIC Double Handful. Yes, we are still alive. That is a miracle in itself, really, you would think. We haven't been here, obviously. World events have sort of taken things out of not just our hands, the hands of everybody over the past year. But we couldn't really let the Cheltenham Festival go by without trying to get some sort of content out there. So what we've done is myself and Stephen Allpress we've not really talked together, but what we have done is we've pre-recorded some segments about the races that we fancy and the horses that we're looking at over the next week or so. And I'm going to sit here and hopefully edit them together in a way that people might not be able to tell that we've done that, if that makes any sense. So without further ado, we're going to start looking at the first day of the festival. Obviously, it's a funny old festival this year. I mean, people only need to look at the runners to see that, the lack of them. The prize money is considerably lower than past years for some reason. Can't see why that is. And obviously, the massive thing is that there is no crowd. I mean, that to me is a massive red flag. These are premier athletes we're talking, premier equine talent. And there's something in the back of my mind that thinks they would perform better with the roar of the crowd. It's been on my mind really since all this nonsense started. And I think if people look at some of the results that they've seen and the way some of these races have been run, I think it's borne out in the evidence. I'm thinking really of the Derby. I'm thinking of Silver Street beating Epatante at Christmas. I'm thinking of Altior losing to Nube Negra. I mean, to me, I might be 100% wrong. I don't think that would have happened in front of a full house, any of them races, in that way. So we're gonna crack on anyway, but that's always going to be at the back of my mind when I'm looking at my personal selections. I think it's only fair to let you all know that. So without further ado, we're going to start with Steve Allpress. He's going to take a look now at day one of the Cheltenham Festival, starting with the first race of the day, the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Thank you very much for listening and all the best.
Hi there, I'm Steve Allpress. Welcome to the 2021 Cheltenham Festival preview. It's that time of year again where all eyes are firmly set on the number one meeting of the national hunt season. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to go through my thoughts and selections for each of the 4 days of the meeting. So then, we'll start with day one of the meeting, which is on Tuesday, where the feature race of the day is the Champion Hurdle, which I will go through shortly, but before I do so, I'll go through the first couple of races on the card. The first of which is the Sky Bet Supreme Novices Hurdle over 2 miles. Like many of the races this year, there's going to be a lot of small and select fields due to the COVID. Obviously, with no race goers and no owners allowed in the race course, this has meant a lot of the cards have been diluted a little bit. However, the show does go on and we still got in for some cracking racing throughout the week. So here we go then. My selection for the opening race of the meeting, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, is the Willie Mullins trained Appreciate It. So Appreciate It was runner-up in last year's Champion Bumper. He's a horse that's held in high regard by Willie Mullins. He has won 3 starts to date over Timber. His opening seasonal debut was at Cork. He put away quite a smart prospect, but since then he's gone on to win graded level races, looking pretty impressive to say the least, both at Leopardstown, the most recent of which was at the Dublin Festival, where he beat Ballyadam and another couple of runners that are in today's lineup. Appreciate It is a horse that's going to stay further in time, even now, to be fair. This is probably a bit of an afterthought stepping back to 2 miles, but they've not it's been no secret that this horse has a lot of pace. He shows a lot of pace at home. Therefore, they did step him back in trip to 2 miles for his last couple of runs, and he's certainly showed that pace which you need to win the Supreme, and you also need a bit of that stamina as well, as proven in the past. So Appreciate is my main selection for this race. However, I will just give a brief mention to a couple of his rivals, because however this is not a foregone conclusion with Appreciate It. There's several good runners in this race. The other one I'd mention is Ballyadam, who he beat the last couple of times they've met. However, Ballyadam did appear to be a little bit under the weather over Christmas time, and then last time out at the Dublin Festival he ran a much more promising race. He still has a little bit to find where I appreciate it, but it was a step back in the right direction last time, and I wouldn't put it past him running a big race. Another horse I quite like in the race is the Betfair Hurdle winner from several weeks ago in Soaring Glory for John Joe O'Neill. He's a horse that seems to be on the upward curve, improving all the time, and he's another one that's likely to run a good race. As I mentioned, it is a small but select field, and there's even more than I've mentioned just now to you that have a fair chance. But my selection for this race, as mentioned, is Appreciate It for Willie Mullins.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much for putting that together. Like you said, it's an interesting race. I was expecting there to be more runners, to be honest, but we've got the 8 runners that have turned up, and they're an interesting bunch. To me, though, there is a standout in this race. Appreciate It, the favourite. It's got good form, like you said, but the relatives put me off it. I can't have it, mate, because there's a brother to it called Danny Kerwin, and I've watched that plod round a few times, and this horse here is already a lot better than anything else that is in that family that I can see. And also, to me, I'd have to say that on the day he's a bit too short for me at the price. I'm sure he'll run a solid race. He looks to be the best the Irish have got by some way. Which leads me on to the next 2, really, Ballyadam and Blue Lord. The pedigree of them, there's not really enough for me, and they seem held, but on the form. I can't really make a case for them too. Grumpy Charlie. There's black type performers in that family, but if you look at his form, he's been running in £6,000 novice handicap hurdles. He's going through the ranks. There could be more to come on from his current form, but chucked in at the deep end here. But we'll see. I couldn't say with any confidence that he is a horse that really has done enough to warrant a place in the field in the traditional sense. But he's progressive, but how much he'll need a very high ceiling, I think, to get involved here. What I do like is on a long-term prospect more is Irascible. It's a chase pedigree, though. It's half-brother to Smart Chaser Cruzlinin that the Rooney's had. It's an interesting prospect, but on the form again in Ireland, it looks to have plenty to find. One you can't say that about on form is Soaring Glory. Steve touched on it earlier. I remember when it did win the Betfair. It was impressive. The damn of it is a half-sister to Direct Route. It's certainly heading the right way. And if you look back at its form in novice hurdles, he has actually beat Bravesman's Game, who is fancied later on in the week. So they must have thought they had a chance in that handicap hurdle, and so it proved, very shrewdly placed in that race, looking back at it. And if they think he's good enough here to take his chance, you have to respect their opinion, don't you, really? For Pleasure, to me, is the likely front runner. Every race I've seen, including when he did win the Supreme Novices Hurdle Trial earlier in the year, I will add that. He's just led all the way. He looks to be a one-dimensional horse that just needs to lead. Has led every time I've seen it run. Quirky horse. Sometimes they've even mentioned, is it going to jump off, etc. What's it going to do? They like it. It's a quirky animal. Could it get a soft lead here? Quite possibly. It's actually quite a well-bred horse. It's half-brother to last year's Group 2 place listed flat-winning juvenile by Method, trained by Martin Mead, who I'd love to see that in the Triumph next year, having seen this horse. Out of a moderate winning dam, there's other National Hunt horses in the pedigree. Baltimore Rock. I don't quite replace it now, recording this, but it was placed in the Group 1 4th chaser and Grade 3 winning hurdler, Grade 2 4th placed as well, So there is pattern race pedigree of the over the jumps in what is really an average, it has to be said, French flat pedigree, really. There's not really a lot else in there. But to me, the standout of the race to me on pedigree and form has to be the Harry Fry trained horse, Metier. It won the Tolworth by 12 lengths on its third start, and it behind it had Adagio 5 lengths behind it that day, and Adagio has since come out and won a Grade 1 as well. But the pedigree of the horse, to me, it's incredible for a National Hunt horse. Very well bred horse. It's flat pedigree, Jim Bolger. The dam of it was placed in 3 flat listed races. She herself is out of a winning dam on the flat, who was albeit well beaten at listed level. But she herself is a full sister to one of the most promising sires, you'd have to say, in Europe, Teofilo. Unbeaten on the flat, remember, 5 out of 5 before it had to retire through injury. And I think last year you really started to see his stock come through. You look at horses like Subjectivist and Gear Up, both Group 1 winners by Teofilo. And there's been others around the world. Hong Kong does well. Good sire. Very good international sire. And then there's other horses obviously related to Teofilo, like Poetic Charm, won 2 Group 2s in Dubai. There's the dam of Fonthill Abbey, who's a solid French Group 3 flat horse. You know, but they are good horses. There was a horse that finished 5th in a Group 1 bumper called Graduated, that is a half sister to the 3rd dam. There's plenty of decent horses in there. You know, there's not much national hunt pedigree in this horse, though, I will say that. But this one, if you look at the form of it and look how it wins, it seems to have taken it like an absolute duck to water. And to me, I just can't see how they can beat this. It's a bloody good horse, it looks. You know, on pedigree and on paper and on form. You know, it's exactly what I look for in a Supreme Novices Hurdle, something to move forward with. You know, like last year's winner, Shishkin, national hunt pedigree all day long. This one is totally different. A lot of Supreme Novices Hurdles winners of the past 3 or 4 years, they've been future chasers. You think of horses like Altior, Alfaroff. You know, I think this one, I'll be amazed if you see this one jump a fence with this pedigree. But you never know these days. But to me on Tuesday, it's a good horse, this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it gets on. So without further ado, we'll end it there quickly, and then when we come back, we will look at the second race of the day, which is the Arkle Trophy, Grade 1 Novice Chase. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name's Paul Newman, and you're listening to the Reprieve Media CIC double handful look at the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. Right, on to the second race of the day now, the first day. It's the Arkle Trophy, Grade 1 Novice Chase. Races like this, almost like a rite of passage for these future top-class horses. Will it turn this way this year? Time will tell. Chances are it probably will, looking at what has transpired over the last Novice Chase season. Just running through a few of the others quickly before we touch on the main protagonists. Captain Guinness. Steve touched on that one. I remember it last year, and it sort of sums the horse up, really. The horse has never been out the first 2 when it gets round, 4 times out of 7. So you probably, in a small field, 6-runner race, you know, is it going to get a good look at its fences and maybe get round and run a race? The dam of it is a half sister to a multiple graded chase place, Jerry's Back, you know, so there's elements of hope in there. Franco de Port sprung a top-level surprise in Ireland. It won a Grade 1 chase earlier in the season. The second French-bred horse, Second Dam, is a half-sister to a Grade 1 winning chaser. It won the Maurice Gillois chase at Auteuil. It actually was campaigned for a while in England, trained by Guillaume Macaire, and it fell when fancied in the 2002 Sun Alliance chase at the second last. It was actually second that day behind Hussard Collonge, the winner at the time. That horse called Jaffet. Numitor, it's got pounds to find. And there's nothing I can suggest in the pedigree to suggest that horse belongs in this race. Eldorado Allen, he's a nice horse in his own right. You know, he's won a Grade 2 at Cheltenham earlier in the year. And he's also a half-sister to the dam of Envoy Allen, Reaction. You know, so he's a well-bred horse in his own right. But if you look at his form, you will see that he's been put in his place by both Shishkin and All Mankind earlier in the season. So, you know, he's one of them that if you look at the form book, you're thinking, how can he beat these two? Which leads me on to these two. We've got to touch on All Mankind first. I mean, if someone told me at this stage last year, well, you'll hear what I say, the last line of the last show I said was, we'll be back next year to look at All Mankind's bid for Champion Hurdle Glory and Champs Go at the Gold Cup. I said that. And to me, when this horse is in the Arkle, and not in the champion hurdle, I find incredible. It's a testament to the skill of the trainer, really, because the horse is so free. Well, it was so free, and you just wouldn't think it would be calm enough to run a 2-mile chase, you know. But it's settled so much better this year, and it has followed up its Grade 1 juvenile hurdle win with a Grade 1 novice chase win at Sundown. But, you know, you look at it in the Triumph last year, I think it struggled to get up the hill. You know, I think it needs a flat track, All Mankind. You know, I'm not fairly certain of it, but if you look at him last year, there was no excuses when he was beaten in the Triumph, was there, last year? You know, he's a beautifully bred horse. We touched on it last year. I've got to touch on briefly aspects of his pedigree, obviously, for those new listeners. You know, the dam is unraced. It's a full sister to Beat Hollow. I mean, what horse? Judgment horse. And a half sister to Brightest. She's the dam of the 3 black type performers herself. And the second dam is a Grade 1, Grade 2, and a dual Grade 3 flat winning second dam, Wemyss Bite. She is half sister to other flat horse winners on the flat. Trellis Bay herself is listed placed on the flat, and she's the dam of Cinnamon Bay. And she herself is the dam of New Bay, who made a promising start as a sire last year, has to be said that. Could have predicted that looking at this. As well as Coraline, you know, and she is the dam of Coastal Path, a good sire, National Hunt sire, Reefscape, you know, was unfortunately infertile at stud, and Marteline, arguably the best National Hunt sire I've seen in my life, who is sadly no longer with us. But like I said, I think he needs a flat track, All Mankind, which in a small field makes him look vulnerable, I think. He could sort of set the race up for a few of these if he decides to go off in front. Shishkin is obviously a magnificent animal. You know, he's an unbeaten chaser this year, 3 out of 3. Last year's Supreme Novice Hurdle winner. What more could you ask for? The natural progression, like I said earlier. Supreme Novice Hurdle. Will it go for the Champion Hurdle winner? Will it go for the Arkle? This one, I think, if I'm right this year, Metier will be taking a total different approach. Novice Hurdle winner, Supreme Novice Hurdle winner, like I said, Shishkin. The dam won 3 points to points, and she's a half sister to Vola Levedette, you know, Grade 1 winner, triple Grade 2 winner, triple Grade 3 winner, and a 4-time listed winner, hurdler, long-staying hurdler. Which makes me think, I think, Shishkin will get further than this. Will this trip prove to be too short? Probably not. You know, probably not. If they call round, I can't see them doing that. And a Grade 3 winning chaser, and a Grade 2 fourth hurdler, Hennessy, long distance hurdles again. I think he is placed in the Welsh National, as well as a half sister to the unraced dam of Good Boy Bobby, a 2020 Grade 1 fifth chaser. The second dam is a half sister to a dual Grade C listed place winning hurdler and listed flat winner Raise Your Heart. You unfortunately didn't get to see what she could produce because she died age 7. And a Grade 1 placed Grade 2 winning hurdler and a flat listed winner, Bolino Star. So a very well-bred horse. So what you've got here with Shishkin is a well-bred horse who doesn't lose very often. And when people look at this, the market of this race, they will see why. You know, because this horse deserves to be the price it is against these. It's a beautiful horse, and I just hope he gets round safe and well and shows everybody what he is expected to do. You know, because there's nothing I like more than to see beautiful, well-bred horses do what they're bred to do, and there's a good opportunity here for him to show that tomorrow. Really put some distance between some of these, I think. So hopefully we'll see tomorrow what pans out. Now, let's have a listen to what Mr. Allpress makes of this race. Steve, over to you, sir. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best.
So then we'll now go on to race 2 of the opening day, which is the Arkle Novices Chase over 2 miles. Up until a couple of days ago, this was the most eagerly anticipated mouth-watering clash of the week, with the Nicky Henderson trained Shishkin taking on the Willie Mullins trained Energumen. However, unfortunately, Energumen has picked up a problem just a couple of days out from the race, resulting in him not lining up this week, unfortunately. However, it might seem that a little bit of the gloss has been taken off of this race, but I can assure anybody that this race is still full of excitement, and there are several other runners in this race that certainly will look to play their hand in the race. Firstly, I'm going to talk about my selection for the race, which is the odds-on favourite Shishkin. Shishkin's a horse I've had huge faith in from day one. I first watched him, 15 or 16 months ago in a novice hurdle, and it was at Newbury, and I loved the way he finished the race. He looked a bit raw that day, but he looked a horse with a huge amount of promise. And from then on, I went to see him at Huntingdon in the lead up to last year's Supreme Novices Hurdle, and he won very well before going on to win the Supreme itself. Since then, he's gone novice chasing, where he kicked off his campaign at Kempton, and he did nothing but impress me that day. And since then, he's just gone on to strength. One thing I will mention is his last couple of runs might not been as visually impressive as some would have liked or hoped. However, he has been running on bottomless ground the last couple of times, and I don't think that suits the horse at all. I think now we're going to get this drying ground at Cheltenham and a nice sounder surface. I think we're going to see the best of Shishkin this week, and I think we're going to see a horse right at the top of his form. He's a horse that really will appreciate the bet going, and I think it'll bring out the best in him. There's a couple of others in the race that I'll mention, which they've got a fair bit to live up to kind of get on that Shishkin level, but they're good in their own right, and they're certainly each way plays, if not looking to put it up to Shishkin. So I'll go through those. I'll have a little talk about those. The first one is All Mankind from the Dan Skelton yard. He was very impressive at Sandown earlier in the season, where he beat a promising young horse of Paul Nichols's called Hitman. Since then, he's ran at Warwick in his trial for Cheltenham, where he passed the test. He come through the race okay, but he did make some jumping errors on the day, which would concern me going into this race. However, you can forgive him slightly for that. The ground was bottomless that day, and any horse would find it hard jumping out of bottomless ground. So maybe you can forgive him, but from what I've seen in his races, as much of that impression, that good impression he's given, I do tend to think his jumping might just let him down on the day. But he's certainly an each way player, at least. The other one I like is the horse from Ireland, trained by Henry de Bromhead, called Captain Guinness. He's a horse that, looking at his form figures, you'd probably question, why am I mentioning him as a candidate for this race? However, if you look closely through his form and just the visual impression that he gives you in running, you can see that he is a horse with good promise. However, he has fallen twice, and that would be a worry also, but he's run some good races. Certainly the second behind an Ergomen over Christmas time. That was a solid run, and that on that form, he would certainly be a player, certainly for each way money at least. But as mentioned just moments ago, Shishkin is my big hope for this race. He's a horse that I really think is going to go to the top over the next couple of years. I'm hoping he can win Tuesday's Arkle and then go on to race Senior Company next season and have a tilt at the Queen Mother Champion Chase. I know he's held in such high regard from connections, and they know the time of the day. They've had champions before like Altior and Sprinter Sacra, and from what I've heard, in recent months, they hold Shishkin in pretty similar regard to those two. So, if they think that's good enough for me. So, my NAP selection is Shishkin for the Arkle Novices Chase.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much. As thorough as ever. Very much appreciated. And can I just say thank you very much for taking the time to put these segments together for us. It's very much appreciated. Right, we're going to move on now to race 3, the feature race of the first day of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. And it's over to Steve for a look at the champion hurdle.
So then we'll go on to the feature race of the day on day 1, which is champion hurdle over 2 miles. This year's race looks an absolute cracking renewal, and heading the market we have 2 mares, which is unusual. The first of which is the Henry de Bromhead trained Honeysuckle, who was last year's Mares Hurdle winner, and the other is the Nicky Henderson trained Epatante, who was last year's Champion Hurdle winner. And it doesn't stop there. We've got the such unlucky and unfortunate horse from last year's Triumph Hurdle, the horse which unseated Jamie Moore at the last flight when a long way clear in Goshen, who also puts his hat into the ring. And then we have a few other horses which are reasonable quality in their own right. Ones like Abracadabra's last year's Supreme runner-up behind Shishkin. And we've also got a previous runner-up in Sarja from the Willie Mullins yard. So this year's renewal looks a race with a lot of quality, and I look through the field, and I wouldn't like to say which way this one's going to go, but I have done. I'm going to go with the Nicky Henderson trained Epatante in this race. Epatante is my selection for this year's Champion Hurdle. She's a horse that seems to have improved as her career's gone on, although she did have a mishap in her last race at Kempton over Christmas. However, she did appear, or it's certainly come out, since that race, that she appeared to have a back problem, which has now been resolved. So hopefully that is the case, and if it is the case, she's going to obviously run a big race come Tuesday. She's a horse that shows a lot of speed, and a fastly run Champion Hurdle will certainly be right up her street. She's a horse that will also benefit from the drying ground, so any of this strong wind and sunshine over the next few days would certainly not do her any harm. Regarding the others, Honeysuckle is a horse I have huge respect for. She's a horse that I've sided with on many occasions. However, although she was mighty impressive last time, and she was very, very impressive visually, I still have a slight doubt in my own mind whether a 2 miles on a quicker surface than she ran on last time would be something that she wants. That'd be my little question mark hanging over her, just a little view that I have there. But she's certainly got a lot of ability, and if the race was won on ability only, she would certainly be one you would say would be right up there to winning this race. So she goes there with a chance without any shadow of doubt. But for me, Epatante just has that Champion Hurdle form from last year, and she's going to be the one benefiting here from the drying ground. Goshen, if anyone's seen Goshen from last year, he was almighty lucky in the Triumph Hurdle. He was running such a big race until he was unseated his jockey at the last flight when a good, dozen lengths clear. He's coming into this race in a bit of a unusual kind of campaign, to be honest with you. Earlier on in the season, he ran some real abysmal races, and he just wondered, would we ever see the real Goshen from last year again? But last time out at Wincanton in the Kingwell Hurdle, he was mighty impressive, and to come back there and put that kind of performance in, he certainly showed that he's worth his chance in this lineup on Tuesday. So Goshen's one that's certainly going to have his supporters somewhere anyway. One other I'll mention, I could go through all of the runners, but one other I'd mention that I do think has a chance, although betting suggests otherwise, well, certainly up until today, was the Gordon Elliott trained / Denise Foster trained Abracadabras. He's a horse that was second to Shishkin last year in a Supreme Novices Hurdle. He's a horse that's ran a couple of good races this season. He won his seasonal reappearance, but then was very disappointing over Christmas time. But again, it was on very soft ground, and this horse isn't a horse that likes operating on soft ground. And he ran then second to Honeysuckle last time. He was beaten a long way, but again, the ground was very soft. And I think Tuesday's ground will be a lot more in his favour than it has been throughout this season. So I think Abracadabras is certainly a horse that I could see running into a place here. He's got a lot of ability, but things haven't quite fallen his way this year. But I wouldn't write him off quite yet. I'd certainly give him one more chance anyway. Of the others, you've got horses like Aspire Tower, Sarja, James de Burley. You've got a few horses here lurking around at those each way prices. You know, they're decent horses, and it wouldn't surprise you if they ran a good race either. But the market, certainly the horses at the top of the market, are strong candidates for this race this year. And I can see that one of these are going to win, one of these horses at the top of the market this year. But I'm going to go for Epatante. I just think there's quite a lot in her favour. Although she did run disappointing last time, but there was excuses for those. I do feel that this time she's gonna come back with a bang. So yep, my selection for the champion hurdle is last year's winner, Epatante.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much for what is always a very thorough look there at the 2021 Cheltenham Festival champion hurdle. Me, myself, I agree with you really, sir. It is a very good renewal of the race. But to me, there's not really one that we haven't really covered before. But to me, like you said, Honeysuckle, as you say, unbeaten, 10 out of 10. It seems certain as well, like you said, to stay the trip. To me, I think that has to enter everybody's calculations, as does Epatante, last year's winner. But I don't know, that run last time with Silver Streak worries me a bit, Steve, if I'm honest. I think it needs to bounce back a bit. Goshen, well, we've already touched on just how promising he looked last year as a 4-year-old in the Triumph Hurdle. And we've also touched on just how appalling his first 2 runs were this year. But there was hints of a revival at Wincanton last time out in the Kingwell Hurdle, and that one to me has to enter equations as well. His older sister Elime runs in the Mare's Chase, and she's fancied for that later on in the week. Abracadabras, the Supreme Novices Hurdle runner-up last year, to me looks a bit held on form. But any horse at this level with good form at the Cheltenham Festival, as Steve has hinted on, is very foolish to rule out. Sharjah, the Willie Mullins horse, to me, I think it needs summer ground, spring ground. It looks to me a horse such as that. But if people look at his form, they will see that he has pieces of form that put him right in this race. If the ground was to dry out considerably before the day of the race, then I can see a situation where Sharjah could enter the equation. Silver Streak seems to be a horse that has improved this year on all the form he has shown so far. Could he surprise again? Quite possibly he could, you know. He's not gone far away in races, this sort of race in the past. But to me, I would be disappointed if there wasn't 1 or 2, or maybe more, too good for him here in this. Aspire Tower threatened to pick up the pieces last year when Goshen unseated his rider in the Triumph Hurdle. He eventually finished second. Looks a good solid yardstick in his own right. But again, rather like some of these, I would personally be disappointed if there wasn't 1, 2 or 3 in here a bit better than him. One interesting runner I will look at quickly is the French import, James de Burley's. James de Burley's, or whoever it's James in France, is actually a well-bred horse. He's a half-brother to a Grade 1 winning chaser, juvenile chaser in France, Goliath de Burley, and that horse is already at stud now. Connections are on record as saying that they have brought him over to the UK from France with a view to going novice chasing next year. But pieces of his form in France in these 4-year-old hurdles they might give him a bit of a chance here of getting involved. But again, it's hard to say whether his form is up to the very top level of some of these so far. But whatever happens here, he'll be a fascinating contender moving forward for novice chasing. Not so sleepy. The form of that one leaves it with plenty to find, as does Saudia. A Grade 1 winner 3 starts ago, back in November 2019. But on his last 2 starts since, he has been beaten over 100 lengths. So it's very hard, obviously, to make a case for that one. What can I make a case for? I mean, this to me, out of all the races I've looked so far, would be the trickiest to call. I wouldn't like to stake a lot on any of these. It's a very close race, I think. Very competitive race. But the one I'm going to side with on the day is Goshen. There seems to be a lot of confidence in the stable behind this horse. I was worried early in the season that the horse had totally gone. It looked as though it had gone. It had poor runs on the flat. It had looked bad in 2 of its first 2 hurdle runs of the year. But to me, I feel they might have it back. There are signs at Wincanton that they might have it back. And although it wasn't the strongest race that he won there, I do feel that if he can put the ghost of last year's Triumph Hurdle behind him, that his horse can run a massive race and maybe get redemption for how unlucky he was last year. Of those at a better price, Sharjah, to me, if the ground is right, could be a player at a fair price. The rest of them, I think, you could be playing for 4th, 5th, and 6th with them. As Steve touched on, the top 3 in the market have got good form. Honeysuckle, Epatante, and to a lesser extent, Goshen. But to me, I think this is a race that could focus around the top 3 in the market. So that's my thoughts on the Champion Hurdle. Quickly, again, Goshen would be my very tentative selection for this race. And now we're going to move on to the final race of the day that we're looking at this year on day 1 of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival, the Mares' Hurdle, Grade 1. So Steve, again, it's over to you to get the ball rolling.
So the final race I'm going to cover on day 1 of the festival is the Mares' Hurdle over 2.5 miles. My selection for this race is the Dan Skelton trained Roxana. Roxana's a previous winner of this race, and she's going into this year's race probably a better horse than she's been before. Certainly a better one than she was when she won the race a couple of years back. She's looked good this season. She's improved with each run. A couple of runs ago, she took on both Paisley Park and Time Hill at Ascot, and she ran a very big race that day. That's the best form she's showed so far. And if she puts a run in like that, she's going to be a major threat in this race. She last time out was just like a schooling gallop for her, really. She took on inferior opposition, again back at Ascot, on soft ground, which she really appreciates. And she won like a very good horse. My only concern with Roxana is the ground at Cheltenham now appears to be drying out quite a lot. Whereas I feel a softer surface would benefit a little bit more. But that said, she goes into a race with strong credentials, and I can certainly see it putting her up to the favourite Constantista. Talking of the favourite Constantista, which is the Willie Mullins trained mare, she's a horse that won the Mares' Novice Hurdle last year and was a runner-up the previous year. She's a horse that's got rock solid form herself. She might not be quite in the league of the Annie Powers, the Benny Dejoux of the past, but she's a solid horse in her own right and a worthy favourite. That said, I've just seen a couple of signs in her last couple of races where maybe, just maybe, I can see her getting beat. But whether that's right or wrong, she's a horse that's a worthy favourite going into this race. She's going to be a tough nut to crack, that's for sure. Another horse I'd say in the lineup that has an each way squeak maybe is the Nicky Henderson horse, Dame de Compagnie. She is a horse that's been a bit of a tough one to get right, really. When she's good, and when she's bad, she's bad. She's a horse that's, again, a previous winner at the festival. She's got a lot of ability, but it's just catching her on the right day, really. She did go chasing this season, and she won a chasing debut, but last time out on soft ground, she just wasn't at home at all, and she ran very disappointing. She was carried out a little bit, and it brought her to a standstill and was forced to pull up. But up until then, she wasn't travelling well in the race at all, and I think the writing was on the wall for her at that stage. I think back over hurdles, she'll be a lot more happier and a lot more at home. And she's a horse that will appreciate the 2.5 mile distance. She's certainly one that comes into the race with a chance. I don't think, maybe she's not quite good enough to win, but she's certainly an each way player for those looking to play the each way horses. So yeah, my selection for the race is Roxana. I respect the favourite, but I just think Roxana is the horse that's arguably got the strongest form. However, over 3 miles against Paisley Park and Time Hill earlier in the season, I think if she puts a forward step from that race, or even runs a similar race, I think she'll be very hard to beat. But it's certainly a good race to watch. It'll be a very good spectacle. So yeah, Roxana is my selection for the Mares' Hurdle.
Thank you very much, Steve, yet again. Great look there at the Mares' Hurdle. It's an interesting race, this. To me, it could easily be described as the best race of the day from a personal point of view, because I've been looking at horses for quite a while now, and I've managed to identify 5 of the field. So this, to me, has to go down as quite a deep race. Before we touch on them, though, I'll just touch on a couple of the other lesser protagonists quickly. Dolcita. That one looks to have plenty to find. It doesn't really seem to have improved since it was a distant second to Conchatista in the Mares' Novice race last year. Great White Shark won the Cesarovic on the flat. There's no doubt in saying it is a useful dual-purpose horse, but to me, I think this could find it a bit hot. Indefatigable, to me, would be one of the lesser lights that I would think could run quite well. It's on its first run since wind surgery. It was a fair novice last year without being top class. But it's by a sire I like, Schiaparelli, and I think that one is not without hope. My sister Sarah is another one who is having her first run since wind surgery. That's a very useful listed winner. But to me, I think her form leaves her with a bit to find at this level. Roxana, Steve's selection for this race, he is right. It did win the race in 2019, but I don't think I think you'd go a long way to find a more fortunate winner of a race at the Cheltenham Festival than she was in 2019. There is no doubt whatsoever, though, that Steve is correct when he says that this horse is back to her best, that she thought the form that she showed then in 2019, and she represents a solid proposition in this race. White Hot Chili Filly, she would be a mare that looks up against it on all known form. Minella Melody, I don't know, this horse is starting to frustrate me a bit now. She came into the festival this time last year with good form. In the Mares' Hurdle Mares' Novice Hurdle last year, sorry, I actually fancied it. I thought it would run a massive race, but it sort of went flat on the day for the horse, and it was never in the race at all, really. And since then, she hasn't really shown me a lot this year. She's been well beaten twice by Conchatista. She's got a bit to prove now to me, this one. But she is well bred. She's out of an unraced dam who is a full sister to dual Group 1 and 4-time listed winning hurdler Glenn's Melody, and triple listed placed bumper horse Glenn's Harmony. She's also a half-sister to a Grade 2 winning hurdler, Leanne Araig, and a Grade 2 placed hurdler and chaser, Quietly Fancied, and a Grade 2 fifth listed winning hurdler and a listed bumper placed, Kiel Rua. And the second dam won a Grade 2 chase called Glenn's Music. So you can see why that horse is frustrating me. It's just not showing anything like that form this season. Will it bounce back? I think it'll have to, and I think it'll be a surprise if it does. Floressa is another one I quite like. You know, well-bred filly this. She showed good promise on the first start of the year when landing a competitive handicap hurdle. So this is a horse that owes me nothing at this stage on the back of that run. She's been well held since, and her form in her last 2 runs really is not really as progressive as I hoped she would be heading into this race. I think her future lies chasing. I thought that before this year, to be honest, but they've kept her hurdling. There was actually she's 4 now, a 4-year-old chaser in France that's a half-sister to her called Lena Rez. That's won a beginner's chase, a conditions chase out there in France. So there are horses related to Floressa, younger than her, that are already jumping fences, you know. She's half-sister as well to a Group 2 fourth, Grade 2 fourth, Grade 3 winning hurdler, Polygona. You know, the dam never raced at listed level, but she is a full sister to a Grade 1 and a dual Grade 3 winning hurdler, Don Lino, and Donaev, a listed winning chaser, and Cap Falcon, also a listed winning hurdler. The second dam is a half-sister to a Grade 2 fifth and dual listed flat-placed horse called Donna Bella, and she is the dam of Grade 1 fourth, Grade 2 placed, Grade 3 winning hurdler, I remember it, trained by Tom George, called Alofi, and a once-winning dam called Good Time Girl. She is the dam of Gumball, Grade 1, Grade 2, and Grade 3 placed listed winning hurdler Gumball, and novice chaser this year has just fell a little bit short. And the third dam was Aga Khan, Group 3 place, triple winning flat dam, Dolphin Skyer. So to me, there would be even easily enough in there to suggest that she should be doing quite well. Dame de Compagnie is a mare I do like. Steve has already touched on what I feel is a baffling campaign that she's had this year. I can't work out what they're trying to do with her. She's won at the last 2 festivals. So what do? They go novice chasing in January. She beats a Grade 1 winning hurdler, Cornerstone Lad, on her chase debut. She gets exposed, as Steve said last time out, and Steve is right. That horse was on the retreat when Hitman fell in front of it last time out. And then what do? Then after that, they go back hurdling. So to me, I don't know whether they think she's not very well handicapped anymore for these handicap hurdles. They've stuck her in here. And I think her preparation hasn't done her any favours, you know. She's a well-bred horse, though. Haras de Sambois pedigree in France, one of the leading national hunt farms in France. You know, the dam, Programme, is a half-sister to horses like listed hurdle winner Sortie de Secours. And she's the dam of Grade 3 place chaser, General en Chef, you know, for Haras de Sambois, who showed some good form in these graded chases this year in France. You know, there's other horses in there that Dame de Compagnie herself is a brother to an Irish Grade 2 and Grade 3 placed French listed winning hurdler called Umbo Matin. That spent a bit of time with Willie Mullins, and a Grade 1 AQPS flat placed dual listed 4th hurdler, Mbom Matin. All out of a twice race dam who's a full sister to a Grade 3 winning chaser, Hard Rock, you know, and a half sister to a listed hurdle winner, Un Jour ou l'Autre. You know, there's some interesting horses in there, you know. I think this could be a horse for chasing. I thought that when they sent it in chasing in January, but it all didn't go to plan. They've reverted back to hurdling. Dangerous to rule any horse owned by these connections out at the Cheltenham Festival. But I think that's what I might be doing with this one this year. Black Tears is another one. You know, that's got some very good form as well. It was actually behind Dame de Compagnie in the Coral Cup last year as a novice. And after looking as though she'd been put in her place on her first couple of starts this year, they managed to get her back on the winning trail in a listed hurdle on its last start, which to me means now she could represent a bit of value now she's back on the winning thread. She's out of Our Girl Sally, a Grade 2 placed, Grade 3 and dual listed winning hurdler, and a Grade 3 placed chaser, and herself a half-sister to a Grade 3 placed chaser, Lockbar, both out of an unraced second dam who is a half-sister to the dam of Grade 1, Grade 3 and listed winning hurdler and listed flat winner Early Beach, Willie Mullins' horse, and Grade B placed, Grade 3 fourth, dual listed placed hurdler, Screaming Rose. Both out of an unraced third dam. The prices I'm looking at today on Monday as I sit here banging on about these horses, I think that one could be that bit of value here in what is against a horse, really, that to me would be easily the best bred national hunt horse I've seen run this year. The form of the horse you cannot knock. Since it won at the festival last year, the horse has gone from strength to strength. It's won both her starts this year, the first time. If people watch the first one of the year this year, they will see just how good this horse is. That horse was very cheeky when it won that race. You know, they really took liberties with some of my fillies here in that race. Manila Melody and Black Tears in that race with this horse. And you will see why when you look at the pedigree. It streaked away to win the Mayor's Novice Hurdle last year. Absolutely streaked away. But before that, it was second in the race back in 2019 on its hurdles debut. Yeah, it's a flatbred horse, Wertheimer bred horse, really. It's a half-sister to a 2019 French Group 1 placed Group 3 Derby Trial winner Slalom. Grade 1 and Grade 2 fourth, Grade 3 placed listed winner Follamore. And Grade 3 placed Empliant. The dam herself was moderate. She only won 1 out of 15 races. But she herself is a half-sister to a triple US Group 1 place, dual Group 2 winner and sire, Silent Name. French Group 1 fifth, dual Grade 3 place, Group 3 place, listed winner and sire, Galway. Not doing too bad, really, him. French Group 1 place and US Group 2 fourth, four-time Group 3 place sire, Salto. Not really much from that one. And the French Group 1 fourth, listed winner, Madaway. The second dam is a dual French Group 1 fourth, Group 2 placed, Group 3 and listed winner called Danzigaway. She herself is a half-sister to four-time French Group 1 placed, Group 2 and triple Group 3 winner and sire, Goldaway. French Group 1 and Group 2 fourth, Group 3 and listed winner, Blushing Gleam. She's a dam of lightly raced Group 1 horse, Group 1 placed, Skanky Biscuit. And also a half-sister to Lishawi. She only raced twice, but she is the dam of lightly raced Group 1 fifth, Group 3 winner, Fossway. And the third dam, Blushing Away, was also placed in a French listed flat race. I mean, what more do people want? Incredible pedigree, good form, and as a consequence of that, as it stands at the minute, although she is drifting, she was odds on at the weekend, they will get a shades of double your money on this horse, Conchitista. So as a consequence to me, she goes off a bit too short at this stage for me to consider. But do I think she's by far and away the best horse in this race? Without any shadow of any doubt in my mind. So I've already decided with her being the price she is that I could be playing for second place in this race at the odds. So I will chance probably a couple of mine, Black Tears, Floressa, probably very small each way stakes behind the winner. And maybe a few cheeky forecasts if things are going well. But like I said, it's not really the year for pushing the boat out this year. So this might be a race I might just sit down and watch this mare do what I enjoy watching her do and cheer on a couple of them for the minor places. You know, a fascinating race, absolutely incredible race, deepest race of the day for me from a personal point of view. I've managed to identify half the field and I'm looking forward to see how they all run on the day. Right, that's the 4 feature races looked at on day 1 of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. I can tell you now that Steve hasn't really identified anything in the other 3 races. He's sticking to the 4 feature races on the day. So I'll be back shortly with a quick little roundup of what I fancy in the last 3 races. And then we're going to get some selections nailed down for day 1, Steve and myself. So we'll be back shortly. Thank you very much for listening and all the best. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Reprieve Media CIC double handful coverage of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. All right, we're just going to tie up a few loose ends now on day 1. Steve, as I've just said, is not really looking at outside of the 4 feature races on the first day. But me, I'm gonna chance one in one of the handicaps. It's in It's in the 4:15, the juvenile handicap hurdle. The one I'm going to chance in that is the make-believe side Sage Advice. It's let me down a bit over hurdles. I actually watched it win when it won. And the last 2 runs after that, I was thinking, could it make into a triumph horse? It's quite a well-bred horse, as I will tell you in a minute. But the form of it in its last 2 runs, it has tailed off somewhat, But it's got an £8 pull for half-length defeat off Cabot Cliffs. And Cabot Cliffs has since won another race. And who knows? I think he's in it if he's at his best, is Sage Advice. He's out of a Dubai-listed place, Flat Dam, who is a half-sister to a dual Group 3 flat-placed dam of the Middle Park winner and sire, Charming Thought, called Annabelle's Charm. And the second dam is a sister to some more nice horses. A horse that won the Racing Post Trophy back in the day, trained by Aidan O'Brien, called Aristotle. A stallion, a national hunt stallion in France called Ballingarry. It's also won a couple of Group 1s on the flat, and a very called Cornwall horse. And a half-brother to Group 1 winner and sire, Starborough, who raced for Godolphin back in the day. And there's also a Grade 2 winning novice hurdler in there, Father Sky. So, to me, that would be one of the better bred runners I've seen in this race. So I will put that up as a tentative each way selection in that race. Right, now we're going to crack on with some selections for the day. And it's over again to Steve Allpress, who is going to give his selections on day 1 of the festival. Steve, over to you.
So I'll just clarify my selections then for day 1 of the festival. The Supreme Novices Hurdle, Appreciate It. The Arkle Trophy, Shishkin, with Captain Guinness as my each way alternative. The Champion Hurdle is Epatante, with Abracadabras as my each way alternative. And the Mares Hurdle is Roxana. So just to clarify, those are my selections for day 1 at the festival. I'll be back with my selections and thoughts for day 2 tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye for now.
Fantastic, Steve. And can I just say thank you very much for those selections, and also for taking the time to put these segments together today and over the next coming days as well. It is very much appreciated. Right, now quickly on to my selections for the first day of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. We're going to do it on the day. Supreme Novices Hurdle has to be Metier, really. In the Arkle, I don't really think I've got really any play on the day because Shishkin is too short. And the other one I like, All Mankind, it's just too short. And I'm not entirely sure he'd like the track either. So I'm leaving that race this year. In the Champion Hurdle, I've decided to go with Goshen. It's what is a wide open race. That would be a very tentative selection. In the Mares Hurdle, obviously I'm really strong on the favourite. But again, rather like in the Arkle, the horse is just too short on the day. So I will put out a tentative selection each way on Black Tears each way. But as you heard, I've got so many in that race that it's going to be an absolute nightmare. But out of the ones that I think are a fair price, I think Black Tears has the best chance of putting in a solid run. So I'll put that up as a tentative each way selection. And then in the juvenile handicap hurdle at 4:15, I will chance, again, very tentative each way selection on Sage Advice. Right, that sums up day 1. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Steve and myself hope to be back all through the week as we look at the 2nd, the 3rd and the 4th day of the festival. Thank you very much to Steve Allpress again for taking part in the broadcast. I've been Paul Newman. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and all the best.